Now it's time to talk about what people are arguing to the strongest combo with this new Ghaz release. But what does the Big Mek bring? Well, he brings a big price tag also of 475 points with no enhancements for this unit, but he gives a bit more actually, passive buff. He gives reroll advances. He can move through enemy models in the movement phase, and when he falls back, he himself is a little tougher as well. Didn't put it on here, but he has a 3-up armor save. He has the 6 wounds, so he's tougher than a pain boy, twice as tough. And then besides the Feel No Pain, I guess Feel No Pain gives a pain boy like 1 more wound as max. But nonetheless, he also has access to his Drilla, so he has 2 attacks on the Drilla that are going to be 3 damage. Of course, going to stack alongside the other unnecessary damage we talked about earlier. But as the unit diminishes, you might appreciate that he does a little bit more damage, and he has damage 3. Or he can get 3 Power Claw attacks as well, just like everybody else. And then he auto passes Desperate Escape test, so he can end up moving too through enemy models. And like I said, if you're putting combo, enhancements to, like we're going to talk about Warhorde for Brutal but Cunning, where the enemy has to get rid of him or he's going to fall back and do his thing, well, now you've made this unit very important and the enemy has to target it. I know people are thinking, well, WAAAGH tactics, aren't they always going to have to just target it right away? There are cases in games and speeds and matchups where people will try to tar pit you on your WAAAGH turn with this big ass combo, and then they're going to move away out of threat range of it and it's just making a normal move to get back into combat with them after it stays in combat with something. If it charged you with the multiple tar pity units and maybe they made heroic interventions or you got consolidated into something that got touch an objective, you're not be able to get them next turn. They might just pre-measure you, stay outside of the wall range, and then come get you once you've lost your invul. So the fact that you can actually fall back and do stuff after the enemy maybe throws a big screen in front of you and you blend it, but now you're just in the open, and they're like, well, I'm not going to kill you then at this case right now. And, to only touch the objective, you have to consolidate this vehicle. Oh, I consolidated this vehicle. I'm stuck here. And then the next turn, maybe I might not, because you remember the thing you have to remember about these units as well, which is more of a tip thing, but I'm moving ahead to it because I'm bringing up the point of if it falls back and if it has value at all. People that aren't used to playing with mobs will kind of tend to forget that if the enemy tags the part of your mob that doesn't have the characters or the power claws, there is a chance that tougher unit, that have Feel No Pains or 2-up armor saves or vehicles and pop armor from temp can end up withstanding the barrage of punches from your boys and then hold that unit in place. So that's more of a higher end tactic than happen to you, but that's the only value you see here. And I don't think falling back and doing stuff is going to be like the meta thing. So I'm just bringing it up as an idea of another layer of tactic. In reality, you're going to see a lot of follow me, lads. And that's why I think it's going to actually come from the strength of this get. Now, it's a minimum movement of 11. Allow me to explain for the new get. So we'll just go off the boys movement. Mind you, Ghaz still going to move 5. So he's a little slow. But the boys are moving this way. So the boys, I went off the boys map. So the boys are going to minimum, they're going to move 6 base. They're going to use follow me, lads enhancement for +2. So they're going to move 8. Then they're going to here we go at the start of the command phase or the movement phase. Command phase. I have to remember it. I always reread it before I use it. Then we get +2 to the advance. So on minimum, I'm moving 11. But because the gate gives you reroll advances, we can just bump that up to on average 4 that you're going to roll on that advance. So it's going to move at least on average, 14 inches. And then you're going to have 2d6 plus 2 to that charge. So that means if someone's within 6 of you, you're gonna get +2 to that, which means you're gonna have a extremely reliable 4-inch charge at a 20-inch range. That's ridiculous. You're gonna take this 20-man mob, hoof them straight up the field, run through a screen, re-roll the advance to move through the screen, stop what you're doing, look for something within 6, roll a 4-inch charge, get stuck in, crump them off. That's what I think is going to be very, very common and popular, at least in the first testing initial runs, to see if it's worth it. Now, remember, you are popping Here We Go for 1 CP, so it's taking all of that combo. Remember, so follow me, lads, for +2 movement. Then you get Here We Go, which is +2 advance, and then +2 to charge on that. So very, very long threat range, very, very fast unit, and hard to deal with when the enemy can screen it. Now, people will say, well, the enemy can pre-measure and move you further back. The issue is if you're giving that much ground to the Orks, then I might already be, across the midline table, which is where we want to be, and stuffing you into your own deployment zone. And in that case, you can still end up winning the game. Now the challenges or cards are gone. So I see a lot of importance, value, competitiveness behind this combination specifically currently, but it is a very expensive package going forward because that would round it out to exactly 500 points for Follow Me, lads. So then we move to another fun kind of tech piece is Dread Mob, because he gives access to the button. Now, like I mentioned earlier, because the button gives sustain, you'll press sustain button forcibly, which will give yourself hazardous, but hey, that's the fun part. Ghaz will give you 5+, and then Makari will give you lethal. So then you have this 20-man mob, which will have access to critical 5+ lethal. Amazing, something that Dread Mob is not familiar with, doesn't usually have, plays a mid table instead while you have all the DACA support behind it. So this could be your only quote unquote melee unit, just to play the mid table and then give a bunch of DACA support with the rest of the 1500. Well, I guess it's not 1500 points, it's less than that. But 475 points for this unit. Now, if you want a little bit more durability on this, you could just throw on, if you have points left over, throw on a stealth enhancement on that. I think it's 15 points. Yeah, it's 15 points for that enhancement. So then you can give it just a little bit more durability in that case as well. Could help just give a different archetype or build style to your Dread Mob, or fill up some of those points if you don't have all of the walkers or guns or DACA, whatever it may be. Then we go into Tactical Brigade, where they have Mork's Cunning. So in this case, again, you could actually just attach to redeploy stratagem to the enhancement. Sorry, saying all the words. Enhancement to this git, so then you can redeploy this guy. You do have access to an additional tactic or quote unquote order, right? Because the mechs in that detachment can give orders. Now, that doesn't mean both of them can give orders to your one boy unit, but it does mean that if you have another kind of support, maybe a Zod unit you want to throw an order to nearby that may be fast, or some Storm Boys, or some, whatever it may be nearby, he can throw orders, and then Ghaz can throw orders on someone else. So you did additional orders for having the Big Mek in that unit. Again, fall back in charge from the detachment itself and all the OC bombing. Plus, you can give yourself stealth on this unit as well. Access to sustain in this detachment if you're running it, to give him a little bit more toughness, fighting potential, but doesn't have the speed validity like we said in Warhorde. These are just some other detachments where I think he has some validity, but then he's fighting for, the Pain Boy in this detachment, right? So it's just something to bring up if you want that. Be a cunning git and check out our new order markers that are in our store. So shout out to you gits being cunning. Help you guys get all the orders set on the table, nice and clean for all you gits to get stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!